The Qur'an is not talking about a religion. The Qur'an is not talking about labels. The Qur'an is not saying that Islam is like some kind of a dress or a cloak that you put on that you can take off as well. Al-Islam from the Qur'an is a state of being, is a state of the mind, it is a state of existence. It is a state in which you don't have to tell anybody that you are a Muslim. People will say, oh, this person should be a Muslim because he acts, behaves, and lives his life in this particular way. You can't trick us. You can't fool us. You can't Christianize us with your Latin script. Peace, brothers and sisters. Hope you're doing well. I hope Ramadan is treating you well. Or should I say, you're treating your Ramadan well. In both cases, I hope you're doing good. I have been thinking about this topic on which I'm going to discuss today for a long time, but I had no idea where should I get the hold of it or begin discussing it. The thing is, I'm from Pakistan and we speak Urdu as our national language. Urdu is apparently an amalgamation, a combination of 4 to 5 languages. And then it's got bits and pieces from other languages as well, but mainly it is Hindi, Arabic, Farsi, a little bit of Turkish, because the word Urdu comes from Turkish, as that's what I've heard. But anyways, so if you talk about the religious section in Pakistan, we have got just 3 main religions there. Only one religion, as in the the sphere of Islam. It has a lot of sects inside, obviously, but the main dominant sect, it's called the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, in which you get all of these Ahl Hadith, Deobandi, Brelvi, whatever. It's a big mix. But these are the main guys that have the religious hold on Pakistan. Well, I'm not a history guy and I'm not into believing history as well. Because history can be whatever. The only history you can authenticate is what you're living. And if you believe in the Qur'an, then Allah has already told us a history in the Qur'an which we have not paid attention to. And inshallah, I hope in the coming years, the world will be familiar with it. So, getting a little bit into the background of what Pakistan is, basically, it was under the colonial rule of the British, and it got its independence from them in 1947. And India also got its independence at the same day, maybe. Yeah. So India had a big chunk of the land. And the main reason for division of this land segregated from these 2 major parties or groups, one being the Hindus and one being the Muslims. So the Muslims were given the chunk of land from the subcontinent, which was then named as Pakistan. Okay, so in Pakistan we have, like I said, Islam as the main religion, and then we've got a minority of Christians and minority of Hindus and other things as well. Maybe, I'm not sure. We got Sikhism as well. So in Pakistan, if for example you are to discuss Islamic religion with the people of Pakistan, as we all know, a lot of people know that there are some supposed 5 pillars of Islam, which is Salat, Thawm, Zakat, Umrah, and Hajj, I think so, yeah. Or maybe the Shahada is one of them. Well, I'm not sure. I don't remember. Don't need to remember. It's not important. But in order to understand this concept, which I'm going to present to you, this is a bit important. So, the main word that we have for Salat is called namaz. Okay. Now, Google Translate, due to some reason, is translating it to prayer. Yeah. But when you translate prayer to Urdu, it becomes dua. You see. Now, namaz Over here you can see in the translations that namaz is prayer. Namaz is also a mass, miqdar meaning could be like a quantity or like a volume of something. Service, dekbal means to take care of someone. Khidmat is also like a service. Namaz. So these are all the meanings that Google Translate is giving you, but I will try to give you a more clearer picture. The word for idol worshipping in Urdu is called but parasti. But meaning idol, parasti meaning worship. Here, parastish means worship. So but is an idol worshipping. Okay. So if you ask a Muslim, because the Muslim only has in Pakistan, the Muslim only has two things. One is salat, which is obviously they hear in the azan, hayya ala salah. So they know when the azan is being called out, it's time for namaz. Namaz, yeah? This thing. Namaz. Okay? And similarly, if you just like that, if you ask a Christian, like I used to have a lot of Christian friends in Pakistan, so I used to ask them, when you go to your church, what do you do? So they used to literally give me the word, we do a dua. That's what they're told in Urdu, in Christianity. And that is actually equivalent to that English thing, prayer. Okay? So the Christians have prayer, which is basic. It is all, that word is due to Latin being their background for their scripture, which gives them the connotation of prayer. Okay? Prayer. If you ask a Hindu, how do you do your rituals and whatever, they are basically doing but parasti, idol worshipping. So you see, in Urdu language, if a Muslim is praying, it's called namaz. If a Christian is praying, it's called dua. And if a Hindu is praying, it's called but parasti, idol worshipping. Entirely different things. There's no salat. Like, they just know salat is namaz. Okay. Then we come to further. Okay. So if you convert from Arabic to Urdu and you write Salatul Fajr, it says Fajr ki namaz, means the namaz of the Fajr time. Yeah. Salatul Isha makes Isha ki namaz, meaning the namaz that you're supposed to pray at the Isha time. Salat becomes namaz. You need to understand this. Okay. The word Saum in Urdu becomes Roza. The word rose comes from Persian, which means a day. So when you're doing this Saum every day, they just added a ha at the end of the word rose, and it becomes rosa. Okay. This is not translated as fasting. It can be, but why do they have a word for it? You understand? Rosa. The word that we have in Urdu for staying hungry is called faqa. That is not rosa. And that is what I'm trying to say is that if that is not the idea of fasting, it's the idea of starving. Yeah. So from Arabic, if you write Saum Ramadan, it makes Ramzan ke rose. That means the rosa, the fasting of the month of Ramadan. Simple. In the Urdu language, whenever these physical rituals are to be denoted, they have a specific word for them. They've translated a word. They've made a word. Like salat becomes namaz, saum becomes roza. But if you talk about zakat, yeah, zakat, they don't translate that. They don't. Zakatul mal. Rakam per zakat, meaning the zakat on your financial status. Then Hajj. Hajj they translate as like Google Translate. I don't know why it's saying ziyarat. Ziyarat also means that you go and you like you witness, or you go and you are there, as in you're like witnessing with your eyes and you're evident that the place is there, something like that. But when you translate Hajj or Umrah, it just says Hajj or Umrah, meaning Hajj and Umrah. So the rituals in which you have to participate with your finances in the Urdu language, they do not translate those at all. So in the Urdu language, we have namaz and roza for salat and saum. But when it comes to zakat, hajj, umrah, we just call them the same thing. Same thing, okay? Also another thing, in Pakistan, they tell people that you recite the Quran in Arabic, and then they give them the ahadith translated in Urdu. So what I get out of this is that they are basically taking the Quran as like some sort of murmuring uttering, and the hadith has been translated into Urdu. Why? So people may understand what it's saying, and then it will be applied and followed in their daily lives. You getting my point? The Quran has been just made something, oh, like you just recite and things will happen. Don't need to question or understand what's happening, but things will happen. Superstition, some weird kind of thing. But the main point why I'm saying all of this is, in 1 year that I've been Quran alone and I've pondered upon this whole fact, I have come to realize that in Pakistan, when people become like Quran only practicing Muslims, there are 90% of them which are non-ritual, and only 10% of them are ritual, and inshallah in time they will understand and they will be non-ritual as well, because the Quran is not talking about a religion. The Quran is not talking about labels. The Quran is not saying that Islam is like some kind of a dress or a cloak that you put on that you can take off as well. Al Islam from the Quran is a state of being, is a state of the mind, it is a state of existence. It is a state in which you don't have to tell anybody that you are a Muslim. People will say, oh, this person should be a Muslim because he acts, behaves, and lives his life in this particular way. Okay? So as being, look, I know English language, alhamdulillah, and I know the whole international scene of Quran alone, and there are people that say that, oh, rituals, you have to do rituals. Allah has given us rights, rituals in the Quran, yeah? And they say that people that don't do rituals, they're hypocrites. Really. All of the meanings and all of the words that you're using in order to translate whatever translations that you're acquiring is from a Christianized English. Christianized English. Okay? Because this word, when you translate it in Urdu, it might say prayer, as like prayer would say namaz as well, but mostly it will say dua, which is the word that the Christians are using in order to do their rituals in their churches when they're calling out to Jesus or whoever they call out to. Okay, they have the word prayer, dua. So if somebody is asking, like, oh, how do you pray salat? How do you? That sounds like, how do you do dua salat? So you're combining both. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to? Is this like a word magic game? Really? The Urdu speaking people know that salat has been translated to namaz. You cannot, the translation of the word of salat to prayer is illogical to me. Why? Because we have a very different understanding of the whole concept, sir. Because we have Arabic in our language. Although a lot of the words they mean like strange things, not the exact word meanings from the Arabic language, meaning something from the root, but not directly the same meaning from the Arabic word. But we have the language in our, like we have Arabic language in our Urdu language. It is there. You can't trick us. You can't fool us. You can't Christianize us with your Latin script or whatever that is. I hope you guys are getting what I'm saying.